The champagne cork burst with a sharp crack, echoing off the kitchen tiles like a gunshot. I froze in the hallway, keys dangling loosely in my grip, their faint jingle fading into the sound of her laughter. Claire's voice, light and unrestrained, floated from the dining room, filled with a joy I hadn't heard in years. "To freedom!" she cheered, her words slipping into a giggle, blurred by alcohol. My stomach knotted, a cold weight twisting tighter, as I edged forward, the floorboards groaning beneath my steps. The house reeked of her jasmine perfume. Sweet, familiar, but laced with betrayal. The faint fizz of champagne lingered in the air, mocking me with every bubble. I hadn't planned on being home this early. The office had released us ahead of schedule, a rare gift on a Friday. I'd imagined surprising her. Maybe rekindling something over takeout and a bottle of her favorite Merlot. Instead, I found myself skulking in the shadows of my own house, listening to the clink of her glass meeting another's. And then came the sound that hollowed me out. His chuckle, low, familiar, wrong. "Mark won't suspect a thing," she said, her tone playful, almost conspiratorial. "He's too buried in his spreadsheets to notice." The words slashed through me like a blade, cutting apart the fragile hope I'd been clinging to. My heart hammered against my ribs, and I pressed myself to the wall. The cool plaster grounded me as rage and disbelief warred inside me. I wanted to burst in, to demand answers, but my feet felt nailed to the floor. Maybe I'd misheard. Maybe it was a cruel joke. But another toast, to us forever, shattered that illusion. I inched around the corner. The dining room came into view, and the sight knocked the air from my lungs. Claire sat at the table, auburn hair glinting beneath the chandelier, silk blouse sliding carelessly off one shoulder. Across from her sat Tom, my best friend since college, his hand tangled with hers. Between them, the half-empty champagne bottle sat like a smug witness. My throat burned as I watched her lean across the table, pressing her lips to his knuckles. The room spun, my vision blurring at the edges. I should have known. The signs were there. The late-night text she brushed off as just work. The jasmine perfume she hadn't touched since the early years of our marriage. The so-called girls' trips with no photos, no stories, just vague smiles when I asked. I'd explain it all away, convince myself love meant trust. But trust, I realized, was a fragile house of cards, and now I stood in its wreckage. "Claire," I croaked, my voice splintering like dry wood. They both jolted. Her glass slipped from her hand, shattering on the hardwood, the sharp crack cutting through the silence that followed. Her green eyes widened with panic, then shifted, calculating, almost pitying. "Mark," she stammered, "you're home early." Tom scrambled to his feet, his chair scraping back, his face a storm of guilt and defiance. "Buddy, let's talk." I cut him off with a raised hand. My pulse thundered in my ears, drowning everything else. I wanted to scream, to flip the table, to erase the sight of them together. But all I could do was stand there, hand shaking, heart raw and bleeding. "Why?" The word ripped out of me, low and broken. Claire's mouth opened, but no sound came. Her gaze flicked to Tom, then back to me, her face a battlefield of guilt, fear, and maybe regret. "Don't," I snapped. "Don't lie. Not now." She rose slowly, smoothing her blouse, stalling. "Mark, it's not what it looks like," she whispered, her tone soft, the same tone she used to coax me out of bad days. But it was a lie, and she knew it. The air grew thick, heavy with unspoken truths. The champagne stung my nose, sharp and sour, mixing with the waxy scent of candlelight. "Not what I think." I let out a bitter laugh. "You're toasting to freedom, to forever with him." I jabbed a finger at Tom. He flinched but didn't look away. His silence was louder than any confession. Claire reached toward me, but I stepped back. "It just happened," she whispered, her voice cracking. "I never meant to hurt you. I still love you, Mark. I swear." Love. The word hit like a slap. I wanted to believe her, to cling to our late-night talks, shared dreams, her off-key humming in the kitchen. But those memories were tainted now, poisoned by the image of her hand in his. Tom finally spoke, his voice low, almost pleading. It wasn't planned, Mark. It just happened. We didn't want to hurt you. His words were gasoline to fire. Hurt me? I spat. You've destroyed me. And you celebrated with champagne? Claire's face crumpled, tears spilling freely. Whether they were real or another performance, I couldn't tell. My chest ached, a hollow pressure, making it hard to breathe. I was going to tell you, she whispered. I filed for divorce this morning. I thought it was for the best. The word hit me like a sledgehammer. Divorce. My knees nearly buckled as I gripped the doorframe, the wood biting into my palm. My mind screamed at me to fight, to rage, to beg. But all I saw was that champagne bottle, mocking me with its half-empty promise of their future. Then it clicked. The safe in my office. The papers I'd found last week in her drawer. Bank statements. Transfers to an account I didn't recognize. I thought it was a mistake, some clerical error. But no, this was her plan all along. She wasn't just leaving. She was trying to take everything. You thought you'd won, I said, my voice suddenly calm. Claire froze, her tears halting. Tom's eyes narrowed, sensing the shift. You thought you could drain me dry and walk away with him. But I found the accounts, and I froze them. Her face drained of color. Tom's hand twitched toward her, but stilled. The air changed. Thick, dangerous, like a predator realizing it had been cornered. You're not getting a dime, I said, every word sharp and deliberate. You celebrated too soon. Claire's mouth opened, but nothing came out. For the first time, she looked small, stripped of her control. Tom clenched his jaw, but stayed silent. The weight of the betrayal pressed heavy, suffocating, as their failure settled over them both. I turned and walked out, leaving behind shattered glass and a half-empty bottle of lies. The night air hit me cold, sharp against my skin, but it couldn't numb the ache in my chest. I didn't know what came next, revenge, forgiveness, or just survival. But one truth burned through the darkness as I stepped away. They underestimated me, and that was their greatest mistake.